Preparing to go into the stream. Setting up the meeting. So many steps to this. It's like going down to the river to wash your clothes. Let's see. Okay, so that part's there. I can close that. And it looks like we have some folks in the chat room already. And Tommy says that he can hear us fine.
Wow, that's cool.
Excellent. And it looks like we have Spanking B. Arthur. Matt is with us tonight.
All right, that's great.
Hey.
All right, look, so I've got a problem we're going to have to deal with here, and that's that Google is asking me to verify it's me. And the last time I had to enter this password was a million years ago, and I don't remember the goddamn password. So we're going to have to wait because I can't see the notes.
Okay. Well, we'll just, do what podcasters do best. We entertain ourselves. So, so we're gonna regale you with some little bit of music here.
There you go.
So this evening, we're going to be traveling to a far-off land via a sick child's storybook and grandpapa reading him a tale. And that's all she wrote with that theme song because I made it short.
Oh no.
But it can be repeated, so I'll just put this on a loop. Let's see. Okay. And this music sort of also makes me think of like, I don't know, maybe a soap opera. Let's see. I'm gonna turn that down some more. Perhaps that's better. I think that might be better. Oh, and hubby Billy has arrived in the chat room. So, we'll be along shortly, and I'll go ahead and read off who we've got here. We've got hubby Billy, and we have RT Cruiser from the land down under. And we've got Mr. Matt, the Chubs Gone Wild. And we have Tommy. And from the Great White North, Fort Maple. And I do believe I saw earlier the Lady Janet was hanging out, so she may be back and forth, as I understand she's doing some work from home this evening.
Where's Fort Maple?
Oh, Fort Maple is up there north of the state capital there, close to the Canadas.
I guess so. It must be. Must be.
It's an army base, don't you know?
Yeah, that's right. I was up there not too long ago. All right. I think I'm close to solving this ridiculous problem. Oh, come on.
That's
It's
quite
asking me to create another password. Honest to God. All right, here we go.
I have these problems myself. In fact, I will spare you the details of my computer problems with work, but needless to say, I had to travel into the city a couple of times in the course of a week, and, well, those days were supposed to be behind me, and let's just say I wasn't all too pleased about having to do that. But in the chat room, we also have Rose of Sharon, and I do believe that that's a dear friend from my nerd family in the early days of my teens that's dropped by, so she's possibly listening while her kiddos might be playing a game or two. Pardon me. And in the chat room, Spanking B. Arthur has posted a rather handsome photo of a young Mr. Carey Ells from Film Tonight.
Oh, I looked up how to pronounce his last name.
Mm-hmm.
It's Elwes.
Yeah,
Elwes.
Okay.
It's not Yules or Eels or anything like that. It's definitely pronounced Elwes.
Oh, okay.
All right. There's some problem with my password. I'm very sorry. I'm not going to be able to see these damn notes until I
Am
figure this out.
am I able to send it to another address for you?
Shit.
Pardon me. Let's
I
see.
don't, that's not the problem. The problem is,
Oh, and I think I'm in the wrong page too. No,
uh,
I forgot to change part of it. So I'm not the only person with problems. Let's see. Or I mean, you're not. I'm sorry. Let's see.
my God.
Tappy tappy. I'm typing. Do 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 do. Okay. So how y'all doing? Doing all right? And we are officially in the new season of fall, and it's quite
Okay,
wonderful.
look, we're just going to have to move on and we're going to have to do it without me being able to see the damn notes because
Okay.
I can't resolve this ridiculous password problem. So let's move on.
Okay. So, are you? I was just going to say, go ahead and pull up your IMDb there, and we should be able to wing it.
Okay, I don't know how that can help me, but I need to get onto the damn Discord. Remind me not to take a nap before we do these things.
Okay.
Holy Christ.
So we have, well, let's see, we've got some photos being shared in the chat room, and let's see. Oh yes, torture. Oh, Maddie, you're sharing torture porn.
I know why too.
Hmm.
I know why too with this movie.
Yes. And our friend up there in the Great White North, he says his tummy is sick, and I hear that's going around. Hubby had food from a restaurant we don't often go to, a chicken place, and well, they've got a reputation at this one for going through different ownership and management, and we thought we would try our hand at the wheel of luck, and well, I got off that boat okay, but hubby, he was wobbling
Oh dear.
for a couple of days there.
That's awful. Food poisoning is one of the worst. Has not happened to me in a long time because I have a cast iron stomach.
Oh, well, I join you on that venture allegedly, because I also it's a rare thing for me to be sick for any length of time. I'm fortunate that in the past when I've gotten sick, I've somehow figured out how to make it be like on a weekend, and I'm usually not sick for more than a couple of days, but I get my flu shot every year, folks, and I just had mine today.
Well, not to mention, you told me you also got like 5 million other shots.
Well, that was the plan anyways. They let you check all sorts of boxes on the website, and then when you go there, it's kind of like going to the bar as a youth, except they've stopped carding me these days. The guy behind the counter is like, "You don't look old enough to need a pneumonia shot."
Uh, oh, they didn't want you to get it, or did they give it to you?
No, they didn't. I was opting for pneumonia and shingles because I did have chickenpox as a kid,
Yeah.
and this is how old I feel now, Toppy. The person behind the counter was a younger person. I'm not quite sure their age group, but I would say probably maybe in their 30s.
Wait a minute. Stop right here. Who wrote this is the best produced episode ever? Who did
Ah,
that? Who
well,
did that?
it wasn't
Was that
Tommy.
Spanky? Spanky did that. Oh my God. I'm going to kill him. I'm gonna kill. All right. We're gonna have to move on. I'm now at least in the Discord chat room. I cannot get the notes, DJ. We're just gonna have to do the best we can.
Okay. Well, like I said, go to IMDb and you'll be able to at least see the cast for us. So,
Okay.
right. So, let's start off and pretend that this is an in-person
It'll be better in post production, folks.
Exactly. So 10 after, and here we go. This film tonight is about a little boy whose grandpa reads a tale of a far-off land. And there's a damsel in distress and, well, a peasant boy who is from years ago in her memory. And, well, there might be a kissing moment or two. And that's much.
Wait a minute.
Chagrin of the boy.
This isn't a kid kissing episode, is it?
Oh, all right. Well, we'll do better in post. So please take your seats. Matinee Minutia is about to begin. Well, good evening. It's fall.
Yes. It certainly is fall.
And
I have a knit cap on to prove it, and an outer garment over my t-shirt.
Yeah, and as I was coming into the marionette here tonight, I was marveling at the leaves that were falling already because we are in fall, and it's a brisk 54 out here in
nice, nice. I got 52. Wait a minute. We're blowing our cover. We're supposed to be in Spud's Flats, New York, at the Marionette Theater.
Well, I mean, that was when I left home. I had to drive.
Oh yeah, that's theater. Right.
True.
Yeah. Best produced episode ever.
Exactly. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Well, so yes, it's a brisk fall evening, and speaking of brisk and falling, oh, maybe I jinxed her now. Is our senior showgirl in the house?
Yeah, you betcha. I've been here for a long time, waiting for you schleps to start the show with all your stupid passwords and all that. You know what? This is the worst produced show ever. All right.
Hey, ma'am.
I'm ready to do my intro.
I don't want to hear about technology, ma'am. I hear you still have a web TV.
Listen, I don't want to hear about it.
Well, ma'am, could you get down to the stage for us and introduce the program for us?
Yeah, fine.
Okay, here we go, folks.
Buttercup is a young princess who's been taken hostage by a motley crew of thugs. Just when it seems her end is near, a strangely familiar face emerges to her rescue. Buttercup and Wesley are reunited behind enemy lines. Will they escape before becoming ensnared in a diabolical plot? Will there be kissing? Put on some traveling clothes and be sure to pack a sword. It's time for Robin Wright and Carrie Elwes in The Princess Bride. Hit it, boys.
What do you get when you take a dash of the silver screen? A pinch of golden oldies, and a smidgen of screaming. It's time for Matinee Minutia with your hosts DJ and Toppy.
Well, now, Toppy, as our senior showgirl mentioned, we are stepping back into the 80s, and we're going to be talking about a fantasy story with some comedy in it. And It has some people at the beginnings of their careers. Are you there? Toppy.
Pardon me. Yeah, Robin Wright. She's got a long career, but this was her premiere movie.
Yes, sirree. And before we get too much further, I'd like to share with you the trailer from this film in
Oh yeah.
1987. Here we go.
Grandfather's here.
Can't you tell me I'm sick? He'll pinch my cheek. I hate that.
Maybe he won't.
Hey, how was this sickie? Huh? I brought you a special present.
What is it?
It was the book my father used to read to me when I was sick, and I used to read it to your father. And today, I'm going to read it to you.
It was a time when life didn't seem so complicated.
Marriage is what brings us together today.
What?
What?
I'm killing myself once we reach the honeymoon suite.
Wouldn't that be nice?
A courtly age of gentle conversation.
I won't always come for you.
But how can you be sure?
This is true love.
Oh, no. Is this a kissing book?
No, actually, there was a lot of treachery, peril, and revenge.
Prepare to die.
Never go in against the Sicilian when death is on the line.
There were affairs of state,
But I've got my country's 500th anniversary to plan, my wedding to arrange, my wife to murder, and Gilda to frame for it. I'm swamped.
and affairs of the heart.
My Wesley will always come for me.
Your Westley is dead.
I've seen worse.
Bye-bye, boy.
Have fun storming the castle.
It's more than turning. What's the difference? We've got him.
Think it'll work?
It would take a miracle. Goodbye.
It's a story of love, a tale of adventure. It's as real as the feelings you feel.
They're kissing again.
Someday you may not mind so much.
The Princess Bride. Not just your basic, average, everyday, ordinary, run-of-the-mill, ho-hum fairy tale.
So, before we take you back and set the stage and tell you a little bit about what was going on in the world when this film was new, just want to take a moment and think, what was going on in your world in 1987, Toppy? Can you remember what was important to you? Did you see this movie in the theater? I believe you're muted again, sir. You'll have to hit your space bar.
I'm so sorry. Best produced episode. All right, I was at the theater, and when I saw it, and I was in love with it. That first feeling, no problem at all. Loved it.
So did you see it with friends or did you go by yourself?
I saw it with my ex. No comment. / let's not talk about it. But
Well, I once went to a Disney movie on a date, so I guess I could say that I've got equal credit on that. But oh, I gotta plug in 1 sec. More production.
best produced episode. Lord have mercy, folks. Hang with us. Oh Lord.
Okay, yes. So, not to put things into too much perspective, but I was in 4th grade when this came out. Okay.
No. Oh Jesus, DJ, that hurts me. That hurts.
Oh, I'm sorry, but we didn't have the movie channels when I was a kid. So I don't think I got to see this when this was brand new. In fact, this has been on my list of things to see for quite some time. So thank you for the opportunity to discuss it and view it. But I did not see this until recently, although I'd heard quite about it. So I'm going to go ahead and set the stage and tell you what was going on in the world then.
Yes.
In 1987, when The Princess Bride was new. Okay, so in the year that I was in fourth grade, American Motors, the company that brought you the Gremlin and the Hornet, those cute little cars that almost didn't have seatbelts, they were acquired by Chrysler in 87. Also in 87, Tammy Faye's soon-to-be ex-husband, Jim Baker, resigned from the PTL. Gee, I wonder why. During a visit to Berlin.
Oh, speaking of which,
Yes,
I
sir?
just heard today that the other guy,
Oh, the 700 Club guy.
yeah, that guy just retired today.
Oh,
Thank you, hallelujah.
that's my
And
party.
Goodbye, Charlie. Goodbye, fuckface. Bye, 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 bye. We loved us. No, anyway.
Well, speaking of the Reagan administration, do you know that when I went to get my flu shot today, the 30-something person behind the counter was shocked that there was still a question about lifestyle on the sheet for the vaccination. And I'm just like, well, honey,
seriously,
we've made progress in some areas, but there are still things from the Reagan administration on the books, okay?
Wow.
Yeah, so she was a little surprised about that. But anyway, so during a visit to Berlin in 1987, Ronald Reagan challenged Gorbachev to tear down this wall. Also, televangelist Pat Robertson announced his
there he is again.
candidacy. Yes, for the Republican presidential nomination.
Can you believe that, folks? By the way, can you believe that he could have been president conceivably?
Yeah, The Handmaid's Tale might have been made a couple of decades earlier. So the first National Coming Out Day was celebrated in 87. And lastly, a little snafu. A squirrel closed down the NASDAQ stock exchange when it burrowed through a telephone line.
Yes.
Yeah, so the hamster wheel and whatnot. All right. So this is going to be a little different. I'm going to mention some of the celebrities who were just in diapers in 87. And we're going to see if Toppy has ever heard of any of these people.
All right, let's do it.
All right. So we're going to spin the wheel of fortune here. All right, Toppy. I'm sure you've probably heard of this young gentleman, Mr. Zac Efron.
I have. He's a spooky guy.
Did
I get that right?
No.
Oh,
think more nearly naked.
Okay.
So he's famous for his abs, and he was a Disney star who got his start with the Mouse House.
Okay.
So we also have a few other folks that entered the world in 87. Mr. Kevin Jonas, speaking of easy on the eyes, of the Jonas Brothers. We also have Aaron Carter, who was also a musician. And then a few of the other folks. We have Hilary Duff, who also got her start at the Mouse House. We've got Blake Lively, and up-and-coming female rap artist Kesha was all born in 87.
Nice.
So, back then in 87, let me scroll to my next area here because...
before you do, let me just let you know what folks in the chat room are saying. Our friend Janet says she remembers watching the movie The Princess Bride at school, maybe middle school. She says it's also a book. I'm not sure if that means she read it. And it was very closely based on a book. And the author also helped write the screenplay for this movie. So the movie's a pretty good matchup with the book. R.T. Cruiser who we're glad is here. He says this is one of those movies that he thinks you need to see at a certain age because he didn't see it until a few years ago. And he thought it was fun, but he doesn't get the hype surrounding this movie. He says the same with the Goonies.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, Princess Bride, it was a film, and we often talk about the other programs that were competing for your attention in the year of this release.
The year,
And
yes, the year of our Lord 87.
yes, 1987. Marriage. Let's see here. I am in a similar predicament, but I've got a placement here. So, in the top of the box office in 87, the top three included Mr. Eddie Murphy in the sequel, Beverly Hills Cop 2.
Oh, good Lord. Wow. Boy, that was a long time ago.
That brought in 153 million. And a little
Did
film.
he sing any of the theme song of that movie like he did the first one? Oh, I don't know. It
Sure.
doesn't matter.
And then a runner up there for number two was a film that was the early days of Charlie Sheen's career, and it also starred Forrest Whitaker, who, of course, would be famous later on in Forrest Gump and several other series, including a version of The Twilight Zone that he was a host of. And that was Platoon, which was number two. Also starred Sean Penn, former ex-husband of the female lead in this film, Robin Wright. That brought in 136 million. Now,
What was
three,
Robert Wright ever doing married to Sean Penn? That ain't right.
apparently not taking notes from Madonna's books, I guess.
I guess. Oh my God.
So number three that year was a film starring Glenn Close, and it was one of the Michaels. I'm trying to remember his name, but
Michael Douglas.
yes, Michael Douglas in the
It's where
the
she
orig-
was the
the original film that depicted animal brutality, Fatal Attraction.
Fatal Attraction. Okay.
And
Wow.
yes, that was the top of the box office. Now, of course, we love the underdog here at MatMin.
We always do it.
Yes, we do.
Seriously, folks, we don't intend to select movies that didn't quite make it. But it's true. Hard to believe Princess Bride didn't make a hell of a lot of money.
I
It
mean,
was
no,
considered, well, it was considered a box office failure. But over the course of years, thanks to VHS sales and, it just grew. I mean, it's one of those movies that it's, pretty much now a cult movie. People love it. Zillions of people have seen it, but not when it first came out.
no, no offense to anyone who lives in manufactured homes, but
What?
I had a period of my childhood where the discussion was if you were trash, and of course some people will elaborate on that and call you trailer trash. But I love me some trash. And so that's why I actually kind of like the movies that weren't the hits, because they have a different appeal to them. Now, The Princess Bride actually was not a record failure like some of our past discussions. Perhaps. And some of those might have been my picks, and maybe some of them had Carrie Fisher and Little People in them, but hey, okay, it's whatever floats your boat. The Princess Bride was number 35 that year and brought in 30 million. Now, to put things into perspective, the films that scored better and worse were a film called Can't Buy Me Love. And I don't have that information out right now, but, give it a shot. Check it out. 31 million. That was the one that did one better than Princess Bride. Now, the film that scored one lower than Princess Bride actually starred the actor who was competing with Wallace Shawn for his role in The Princess Bride.
That's right.
Danny DeVito, and Billy Crystal, who was in The Princess Bride, in Throw Mama from the Train.
Oh
30
dear.
million. Now, this
Where's the beef? Oh, sorry.
that's actually a guilty pleasure of mine because I adore I think her name's Anne Ramsey that played Mama in that film.
Yeah.
And
And
she
somehow I think I just made the same mistake I did on a previous episode of Matinee Minutia. The Where's the Beef lady in those Wendy's commercial, not the same person that was in Throw Mama from the Train.
No, but maybe she auditioned. I mean,
No,
there could be some trivia.
anyways, never mind. I'm insane tonight.
Well, that's quite all right. It's I'll blame it on the changing weather, okay?
All right.
So that was what was competing for your attention. And well, let's give it a few more minutes and we'll go to our intermission here. But we got a little bit of a late start.
There you go.
the
Tommy
shopping
Hash
cart.
Browns. Tommy Hash Brown says Claire Peller was the actress who was in Where's the Beef.
Oh, and also Lady Janet in the chat room, friend of the show, said that National Coming Out Day is her birthday. And there's some drama about an X in there that I won't read out loud. Anyways, so
He was a POS.
well, I think that precludes the X part. But
Yeah.
So Toppy, I know that you know who made this movie. Who was the movie maker, the magician-ish we call it here, the Marionette?
Good old Rob Reiner. We talked him up when we did Stand By Me. And this is the movie he made right after Stand By Me. And he was pretty new. I mean, he'd done that faux documentary about the band.
Oh, this is Spinal Tap?
Thank you. And then he had just squeaked out Stand By Me. And then he was right here trying to figure out how to do The Princess Bride, because his father, the famous Carl Reiner, who is legendary and just recently, not all that long ago, passed away after 5 million decades in television and movies. Carl Reiner gave his son, Rob Reiner, the book, The Princess Bride, as a gift. And that was it. But it left its mark, apparently. And he got to the point where he said, yeah, I'm going to try to make a movie out of this. He found out a lot of other people had been trying to make a movie out of this. A lot of people tried to get the rights. Eventually, the author of the book bought the rights back for himself. And when Rob Reiner caught up with him, he said, oh, you're the guy. I'd love for you to be the guy that made my book into a movie. They did it. It was basically an independent production that was heavily backed by Norman Lear, who we all know from TV as the creator of legendary TV shows like All in the Family, which starred Rob Reiner in the role of Meathead. Anyways, that's how it all happened. It got backing from Norman Lear, and it happened. So there you go. Rob Reiner has gone on to do so many movies of different genres. Can you believe he did Misery, for example?
Oh,
you can't think of a movie more different from The Princess Bride as Misery. And that's what he's done. He's done comedies, he's done drama, and he seems to just do them all equally well. And I got to tell you, I think he put just the right shine on this movie. Every choice he made, I think, was perfect.
One film that Rob Reiner was in charge of making that I never realized until now is an iconic 80s movie that has a member of the Princess Bride cast, Billy Crystal. I have never seen When Harry Met Sally, Toppy.
Oh, well, that's worth seeing. That was a good movie.
I do enjoy some Meg Ryan. My favorite film with her is a movie called Kate and Leopold, and it actually stars Hugh Jackman as well. So check that
Yes.
out. But When Harry Met Sally was made in '89 by Mr. Rob Reiner. So, well, Toppy, I'm going to go ahead and start us off with talking about the cast. Now, the lead role of Wesley, the farm boy, he was played by England-born English boy, pretty boy, Cary Elwes. And this was his 7th film. It wasn't his first. It wasn't even his first American film. No. That was a film that came out in 1979. Now, if you can believe this, it was a film with Suzanne Summers called Yesterday's Hero. Now, are you pretending that you were Cary Elwes's agent when he got that part?
Maybe. I can't think. I mean, surely he heard that and said, "Oh God, I just need the paycheck." I don't know.
I bet you Cary Elwes has a thigh master in his closet somewhere. But what else would he play in a movie with Suzanne Summers? He was basically an extra, and he was a disco dancer in '79. Now, Elvis would star in 9 films during the first 5 years of his career, and before The Princess Bride, he was in a film called Mashenka. It was a European film, and he played a young Russian immigrant set in 1920s Germany. So sort of a period piece. And following The Princess Bride, Elvis would star in 4 films over the next 5 years, so he kept busy. Most notably, he was cast in the Mel Brooks film, one of my favorites, Robin Hood Men in Tights. And that was in
Yeah.
93.
Yeah, you can certainly see how he went from The Princess Bride to Men in Tights.
Similar costume, even. And he continues to act to this day. Now, most recently, he was starring in Mission Impossible 7, which is due to release in the new year.
Wow.
And he had a series of appearances in Amazon original series The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which is about a 50s housewife who decides to become a comic.
I also know he did a turn on the X-Files as quite a villainous character. Now, riddle me this, DJ. Gary Ellis, handsome, really, I mean, that is a beautiful face he's got. A good actor, nothing wrong with it. Why has he not risen to perhaps greater heights in movies? Perhaps it's his own choosing, but it just seems to be with a face like that he should have been the leading man in many more movies. What the hell's going on there?
I have to wonder. I mean, in terms of acting, I know that traditionally, with women at least, it used to be they would say that there are classically 3 roles that a woman could play. You've got the girlfriend, you've got the wife, and the mother. So I'm thinking in a similar vein, when you reach a certain age, even if you're a man, you maybe don't feel like you're going to be the action hero anymore. Maybe you're going to
unless you're Harrison Ford
right?
or Liam Neeson.
They're in some sort of a vampire cult to keep themselves youthful.
You think he just aged out of being a leading man?
I think possibly so. And some people after being in somewhat comedic roles like Men in Tights, maybe they aren't taken as seriously when they go to auditions. So I'm not quite sure. Maybe he enjoys the comedy part of that. So
No.
Hard to say, but definitely his his rise to stardom was probably at its height in the early 90s. But
Yeah, seems like it.
so before we go on to the midpoint of our show, I'm just going to go ahead and mention the next member of our cast. Now, the princess Buttercup, which I would think would be a more appropriate name for livestock, but hey,
What? What did you just say?
I think I would sooner name a horse Buttercup than my own daughter, but
Oh my Lord.
maybe that's just a nickname. Because, I mean, royalty is usually the Lady Sarah of Covington or whatever.
Oh, RT Cruiser just said Elvis played a good baddie in Twister. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
he was the rival Crumb in Twister.
With Helen Hunt. That was her first film outside of TV, I think.
I think so. I think maybe.
So Robin Wright, who played the princess, she was a Texas-born lady. She was born in good old Dallas, place where I hung my hat for a year. And during high school, she did fashion modeling in Paris and in Japan. Her first role was in television's NBC The Yellow Rose. Get this, cast Toppy. In 84, there was a series with Sam Elliott and Sybil Shepherd. Makes me want to look for that, although it didn't last very long. Her first film was Hollywood Vice Squad. Now, get this. Talk about USA Up All Night. In 86, this film had Carrie Fisher and Batman famed Frank Gorshin.
Oh, Lord.
And over the next 5 years, Robin Wright would appear in 4 films. And in 94, she'd be cast opposite Tom Hanks as the female lead in Forrest Gump, Jenny.
Oh, that's right. I love my Jenny.
And Wright currently has 61 acting credits. Mostly, she has directed and produced in more recent years for Netflix House of Cards series.
All right. Just a word more about how Robin Wright got cast in The Princess Bride. It was very, very late in the process. And a lot of people had auditioned for the role of Buttercup, including Uma Thurman, Meg Ryan, Sean Young, Susie Annis, I don't know who she is, Courtney Cox, Alexander Paul, and believe it or not, Whoopi Goldberg, all auditioned for the role of Buttercup. And Reiner, and he also the author of the book, his last name is Wright, who worked closely with Rob Reiner on the casting, because the author of the book really cared about getting the right person to match his book. And they just weren't happy with all of those people. And believe it or not, a week before filming, they saw Robin Wright. Oh, that's not the authors. Anyways, they saw Robin Wright, and her agent had told her to try out for this. And so it was so late in the process that she went right to meet Rob Reiner and the author person at their place. And she rang the doorbell, and Rob Reiner went to the door. And as the story goes, he saw Robin Wright standing there in this white summer dress with her long blonde hair, and she had a halo from the sun, and she was backlit by the sun. And right then and there, they said, she's it. So that's how she got the part.
Okay. So we're at about the halfway mark in the program this evening. we're gonna step on over here to the snack bar where we'll enjoy some libations and some treats with our senior showgirl Gertie. And meanwhile, we'll be listening to an interview for the 2012 25th anniversary from The Princess Bride with Entertainment Weekly.
Now, the emotional high point of Totally Awesome 80s Week for Josh, and probably a lot of you too. When The Princess Bride came out in 1987, critics called it absolute magic. 25 years later, it can still cast a spell thanks to its all-star cast, including Billy Crystal and Robin Wright. Entertainment Weekly brought them together for their special reunion issue. It's on newsstands today, and our weekend anchor Dan Harris joined them all for this conversation.
I met President Clinton, and he told me he was a fan. You know, when he said, "I know exactly who you are," I thought, "Oh God, what's in my FBI file?" You know, and he goes, "No, it's not what you think. Big fan of Princess Bride."
Actually, when the movie came out, it wasn't a huge hit. They couldn't quite figure out how to market it because they didn't really know what they had.
Now, decades later, the film's immensely quotable lines still follow the actors everywhere they go.
As you wish.
How often do people come up to you and recite a line?
I think when I die, they'll say on my gravestone, "As you wish." I think every woman wants to hear that.
Inconceivable! You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
So people walk up to you unsolicited and say, "Please say inconceivable."
They do that, but each person thinks that it's an idea of his own.
True love is the greatest thing in the world. Except for nice MLT, mutton, lettuce, and tomato sandwich when the mutton is nice and lean.
The MLT line, my favorite line in the movie. Is it true that you ad-libbed that on the set?
Yeah. Well, when people come up to me, it's happened just the other day, eating, and he whispered in my ear, "Is it lean?"
At the end of the movie, Peter Falk describes your kiss in the following way.
Since the invention of the kiss, there have been 5 kisses that were rated the most passionate, the most pure. This one left them all behind.
I don't know, how was it, Robin?
Who are you? No.
We did a few takes, didn't we? We did.
I asked for take 57. I remember. We were just thinking about can they see my heart beating so fast because he's so cute. Wesley's so cute. Oh.
Little known trivia fact, Danny DeVito was actually the director Rob Reiner's first choice to play the role of Vizzini, which made the incomparable Wallace Shawn palpably nervous while shooting that he was going to be fired.
Never go in against a Sicilian when death is on the line.
I remember what you said, Wally. Can I tell you? We had done so many takes. It was all on you. And finally, Rob goes, "Let's just take a break. We're just going to take a break. Let's just take a breather, step away from the thing." And under your breath, you're like, "God, I hate this acting thing."
Okay, and that was the cast in their 25th anniversary reunion. So we have a couple more folks that are in the cast that we'll discuss in a moment here. But just wanting to take a moment to point out in our chat room, which we do this show live on the first and third Friday of each month. You can drop by at matineeminutiae.com and click the little blue mask symbol there, Discord. That's our chat room. Of course, we also have video on YouTube. So if you're at matineeminutiae.com, look for the YouTube logo there, and perhaps you'll see in my my attempt at Robin Hood that I'm wearing this evening. Okay,
There you go. Yeah, you got to check out DJ's little costume there. Since we're running way late, unless there's a specific cast member you really want to talk about, let's just get right into the movie.
Okay, well, I was just going to mention the other 2 main cast members that I was going to discuss was Mandy Patinkin, who played the swashbuckler there, whose father was killed by the
I always confuse Mandy Patinkin with Kevin Kline, which is ridiculous, but I do. And I think Patinkin was great in this, but somebody somewhere early on his career told him that he could sing. And Mandy Patinkin singing always sounds like this. And he's got this high voice. And for some reason, he was on Broadway singing. I don't know how. Anyways, I'm sorry. But he was great in this movie.
Well, to Sam, you wouldn't realize that he actually was in Yentl with Barbara Streisand.
Oh, that's
in
right. He was
88.
in Yentl.
Yeah, he also got to be in Dick Tracy with Warren Beatty. And my first exposure, honk, to Mr. Patinkin was in the precursor to the TV series Alien Nation that he starred in with James Caan.
That's right. By the way, Mandy Patinkin on television, he gets into a TV show, and then 2 seasons in, he goes, I hate this, and quits. That's usually his routine. Anyways, no, it's fine.
Well, you could catch him more recently on the CBS series The Good Fight, and
he'll be off in 2 seasons. Anyways, go ahead.
He was also in Showtime's Homeland series about Homeland Security, opposite Claire Danes, who of course got her start on MTV in My So-Called Life, and he was a Middle East Division Chief of CIA in that. So he's been busy, and of course we can't leave our discussion without mentioning the inconceivable Wallace Shawn. Now, this guy, he has so much work. He has 207 acting credits to his name.
That's
More
amazing.
recently, he has been in the CBS series Young Sheldon as the lead character's mentor, Dr. John Sturgis. And a few years ago, he was in a film with Candice Bergen called The Book Club. And he has just been a bevy of talent. And in the year after Princess Bride, he was in a film with Keith Carradine, and if you could believe it, Keith Carradine and Genevieve Bujold, called The Moderns, and it's about a struggling artist that forges paintings. So he kept working, and there is so much variety in his roles, and I adored him in his guest appearances on The Cosby Show.
Okay. All right. Janet asked me, she's laughing, and she says, Toppy, are you high? No, I'm not, but I do feel, for some reason, I do feel high. Oh my God. Anyways, there were so many great casting choices in this movie, from Peter Falk at the beginning, who reads the novel. By the way, that's very much how the novel is interesting construct. I can't get into it, but the conceit is that the novelist is abridging a much longer story, and it's not true, but he claims that on the cover of the novel that this is the abridged story of, and it's a very long title. It's The Princess Bride, yada 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 yada, and it also starts just the same way with the grandfather telling the whole story, and that little kid, who's his face, who went on to do the Wonder Years, the original series,
which they've since started remaking, actually. Fred Savage.
Yeah, and boy, he's he must have made this right before Wonder Years or during Wonder Years, because he's right there at that beginning age. I mean, that is how young he was when he started on the Wonder Years, so it must have been right before that. But everything, Andre the Giant, what a wonderful character. And by all accounts, Andre the Giant said he had a great time making this movie. And a lot of it was because his cast members treated him like a real human being and not a freak, because he really was a gigantic person. And it's all brilliant. Billy, all the cast choices were just amazing.
Despite Andre the Giant's size and his years of doing wrestling, at the point that he started acting and doing The Princess Bride, he was a little worse for wear. In fact, in the scene where he was supposed to be carrying the princess, they had to rig that on a system of ropes so that you couldn't tell that he wasn't actually carrying her.
Yeah. So let's just dish the movie here. I loved it immediately when I saw it. There was something so charming about it in every respect, right up to the soundtrack. I loved the score, that beautiful music. I just loved everything about it. And it was so sweet. It was so gentle. It was magical. That's the word I'd use. Now RT Cruiser is going, you guys are screwy. But no, that's how I first experienced it, and it's just grown on me ever since then. But now DJ, you caught it later. Does it sound like I'm gushing, or like, are you like more like RT, like what's the big whoop, or what?
No, I definitely understand the affection for this, because it's not a hard story to follow, and it has some very charming parts, because of course the very beginning, whether or not you're the type of person that enjoys a romantic story about a land far away, you're going to be reeled in for that simple element of the grandfather is reading the story to his grandson. So, of course, there's also, the humor there. Oh, is this a kissing story? No. Sit down and shut up and listen. So, you give it a chance, because you think this is just another damsel in distress story with some guy that comes to her rescue. And no, there's more to it than that. In fact, there are scenes in this film where there very easily could have been more physical elements. In other words, they could have had sword fights or what have you, but it was worked into the story. He was basically brought back from the dead. Spoiler. And he's trying to reanimate himself, and he's just kind of sitting there taking it. He's being insulted, and he's just like, you just wait until I've got full use of my faculties here.
Yeah, that was well played and quite comedic. As he it took him a long time to fully engage his body, and wonderfully played there. Let me describe to you my only beef with the movie. It's there was one scene, one thing that happens in the movie, and the way it's done, that for me didn't match the rest of the movie, and I found it highly disturbing. Now, this is The Princess Bride. What could I possibly find highly disturbing in this movie? Well, it was the torture scene. When Wesley is having his life sucked out of him. I thought, when I first watched it, Jesus, it was horrible. I mean, he was in agony, and he portrayed every inch of that agony. And the rest of the movie is played so lightly that this doesn't match. This should not be that disturbing. Let's take another point where he's fighting the rats. Those rats are puppets and they're almost comical, but you still feel their danger. They're savage beasts that are attacking them. It's an exciting scene, but it's not disturbing. This torture scene was disturbing, don't you think? Or am I just making too much of it?
No, I believe you're correct. It is inconsistent with the rest of the film, and I would have to wonder. I haven't really gotten to that level of attention for the detail, but I have to wonder if interviews with Rob Reiner, the director of this film, might shine some light on that. Because I'd like to know, since this is one of his, early films, I guess you could say, in the body of his career, would he have made some of the choices that he did in making The Princess Bride? What would you do differently now? Kind of a question, because certainly the torture scene that you're referring to, it doesn't line up with the rest of the movie. Because sure, it's part of the reality of the times that they were in, but the rest of this film doesn't take itself that seriously.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, let's take the final showdown with Inigo Montoya, with his arch nemesis, the six-fingered man. There's a lot of stabbing and bloodshed in that scene, but it's there. But somehow I can't just. It's not vivid and horrible like that torture scene.
Mhm.
So, like I say, I feel like it didn't match. If I would have subdued it somehow, conveyed that he was having the life sucked out of him without it being so vividly horrible.
Mhm.
So, anyways,
I would have probably inserted more physical comedy there, where, since the rest of the film was kind of lighthearted, maybe instead of real torture, it would be something like tickle torture.
okay, you know what? Interesting. I that might have almost worked. Now let me ask. I got two favorite scenes that, to me, were slap ass, laugh my ass off, funny.
Mhm.
And look, it doesn't take much for me. I'm a lover of slapstick. I mean, please. All I need is a pie fight, and I'm in hysterics. It's ridiculous. But anyways, for me, the damnedest funny thing from the moment I saw it, the thing that made me laugh out loud in the theater so long, it's such a stupid thing, but when Wesley has the disguise of the Black Pirate on,
Mhm.
and he's rescued his beloved, and she doesn't know he's Wesley. Okay, she just knows that this Black Pirate has rescued her from Andre the Giant and the other guy, and she's very she's still afraid because her rescuer is this mysterious Black Pirate. And at one point, when she sees the people that initially coerced her into marriage coming to her rescue, she pushes Wesley, the Black Pirate, down a ravine, a steep hill, and he goes head over tea kettle down that hill. And as he's going down, he says, "As you wish," which is his signature. That's the thing he said to her all their youth. And she suddenly realizes, oh my God, that's Wesley. So what does she do? She throws herself down the ravine, ass over tea kettle, rolling down the hill after him. DJ, look, maybe I'm a simpleton, but that made me laugh nonstop for 3 minutes when I saw it in the theater. It was so absurd. It was so stupid. It was so, oh my God. And The other scene that killed me was Sean Wallace, who, by the way, the ever mysterious Cronehaven says that she maybe attributes her appreciation for Sean Wallace. I mean Wallace Shawn, to why she liked the movie, because she wasn't sure. But anyways, when he's doing the whole inconceivable thing and he does the poison and switches the glasses and then goes, ha ha ha, I fooled you. And then he keels over dead. Okay, I can't help it. I'm just a simple guy, but those are my two favorite. Well, what do you got for favorite scenes?
I enjoyed the the poison cup scene, because as you were saying, he did that so well. He made it seem like he had outsmarted him when quite literally the tables were turned. Of course, I hadn't seen this before, so I wasn't quite sure how far his character got into the movie. I was a little sad though that he didn't even make it halfway through the story.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like a classically told tale of a hero. He's got to go through these trials. So he gets through the swordsman, then he gets through the giant, and then he gets through the guy that has like the riddle of the poison cups. So it's kind of structured in that classic fairy tale way.
And the other part that I enjoyed was the personality that Andre the Giant put into his character, because as we were saying, one of the things that he enjoyed about being in this cast was he was just treated as a regular person. Now, this is a fantasy story, so of course there's supposed to be exaggerated elements, and he's this big guy, big burly guy. But on there's a scene where he's talking about things, and he's being given directions on what he needs to do, to basically off someone. And he's like, well, that wouldn't be very sportsmanlike.
Yeah. He's so appealing in this movie, and the ending, DJ, after everything is resolved and they're high up in that tower, and down there on the ground is Andre the Giant with the three horses, white horses, for them to escape on. And I just love the fact that the princess leaps down and he catches her. Then the other two guys leap down and he catches them, and they ride off into the sunset. I love that ending. I just love it.
Yes, and I realize that it's just the time that it's set in, and that she's expected to be the damsel in distress. But that scene that you described, where she throws herself down the hill to go after Wesley, that's the most effort she makes in the whole thing, because I don't even remember seeing her lift anyone's sword or anything.
Now let's see here. Janet the Treadmill, y'all aren't mentioning Wallace Shawn's most famous role, Twist Nerds.
Yeah.
What do you suppose she's talking about?
Oh, from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. He played the head of the Ferengi culture, Grand Nagus Zek. So he was basically the pope of a culture that idolizes money, capital, and the master of the deal.
Yes, that's the way the Ferengis were all about money and the deal. And yeah, I remember that role. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Was he in just that one episode, or did he reprise that?
Oh, it was in several. I want to say that it was at least 3 times. But
I didn't know that.
Of course, one of the staple characters of Deep Space Nine is the proprietor of the bar, and he was always getting himself into trouble. So, they invented this storyline that's basically like the IRS. In his world, they check his books, and so the Grand Nagus, who's the pope of this money culture, comes to the scene every now and then because we want to know why he's doing so well. He's not very smart. How is he turning a profit?
Yeah. Oh, by the way, also, a bunch of us here right in this chat room, including Janet, Billy, you, Tommy, we all saw Wallace Shawn in person when he spoke at Farpoint.
Yes, sirree. So, well, we are getting toward the end of our show this evening. So, this is a part of our program that we call our snack tray. It's a little bit of what's left over. So, this is where we talk about something else you might enjoy if you like The Princess Bride. And if you haven't caught it yet, at least right now, you can catch it on Disney Plus, like us. So, Choppy, is there anything that comes to mind when you think of The Princess Bride? Is there?
Yeah, something along the same line of fantasy and this kind of sweetness, and that would be Willow. A George Lucas production, I think. Val Kilmer. I can't remember who all was in it.
Oh,
but it struck similar chords. So I'd say if you liked The Princess Bride, you'd probably like Willow.
Oh, I do enjoy Willow and the future Mrs. X Val Kilmer, Joanne Whalley. So, something you might enjoy if you like The Princess Bride was a film that came out just the year before it. And I do believe that it had a young Jennifer Connelly in the beginning of her career. And of course, pop icon David Bowie. I am, of course, speaking of none other than Labyrinth. And it's about a spoiled girl who would rather spend time in her room with her toys and her books than to babysit her little brother, who she wishes off to the fantasy land of the Goblin King when she doesn't have any more nerves to spare.
Okay, confession.
Mm-hmm.
I'd never seen Labyrinth. And just completely coincidentally, or maybe not, because I think maybe Disney suggested it to me. You know how they do that. After I watched The Princess Bride, I think it suggested The Labyrinth, and I did start it. Now, you guys are going to hate me, but I couldn't get through the first 10 minutes. Anyways, maybe I wasn't in the mood. I don't know, but I'll try again.
If you get far enough, you get to see David Bowie in tights.
Well, okay.
And behind the scenes, a young Gates McFadden who would play Dr. Beverly Crusher on Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Okay.
She worked for Jim Henson. So she did choreography and she did puppetry behind the scenes for that film.
Nice.
So
nice.
To give you an idea of the pop culture following that is Labyrinth, I will reenact a brief lyric from the film.
All right.
Remind me of the babe. What babe? The babe with the power. What power? Power of voodoo. Who do you do what? Remind me of the babe.
That was in that movie?
Yes.
You know that's from that's a copy of something that was famous from another movie like 40 years earlier.
Oh, most good things
hoodoo,
are.
Yeah, the voodoo. You do. I don't remember what movie that was in, but it was an old black and white movie. Interesting. Did not know that.
Oh, so we are at the end of our program, and we are a celebrated venue of many a splendid thing, including we were once a place of vaudeville and magic acts. Will you go ahead, Toppy, and grab me that bag of coins?
Now, here you go. It's heavy. Look. Open that capsule.
Alrighty. Ooh, this one's an early 2000s horror musical science fiction.
Uh-oh.
A worldwide epidemic encourages a biotech company to launch an organ financing program, similar in nature to a standard car loan. The repossession clause is a killer, however. This was directed by the man who brought you Saw 2.
Oh.
Has appearances by Paris Hilton and Sarah Brightman. Next time, Repo, the genetic opera, with returning guest Jamanda Martini.
Amazing.
Alrighty, Toppy. Let us know who was in our chat room this evening.
Well, very, very happy to welcome and say thanks to the ever mysterious Cronehaven, to Janet from another planet, as I like to affectionately call her, RT Cruiser, all the way from Australia, joining us. Thank you, RT. We had Tommy Hash Browns in here. He's probably still listening, but I don't see him in the chat room anymore. Thanks, Tommy. And thanks, your hubby, Billy Starsage, is hanging in there all this time. So thank you to everyone. I think I got Rose. Oh, Jin.
Oh, it's supposed to be Rosa Sharon. Friend
Rosa
of
Sharon. There you
my
go.
nerd family back in my teens.
All right. Thank you, Rosa Sharon. That's a beautiful tree and beautiful flowers. All right. Thank you.
All right, and if you will, sir, send us out on the way of the old radio shows.
You got to feed me the line.
Oh, say goodnight, Gracie.
Thank you. Good night, Gracie.
Thank you for listening to Matinee Minutia.
Our show streams live on the first and third Friday of the month.
Go to univazpods.net, click the tower for streaming audio. Enter Discord for our chat room.
You can find our show anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Find us on Twitter at Matinee Minutia.
Find our group on Facebook.
Or visit our webpage at matineeminutia.com.
Have an idea for a show? Or why not let us know how we're doing?
Email us at matineeminutia@gmail.com.
This has been an Ollie-Bug production.
I have a voice.
I have a voice.
You have a voice.
You have a voice.
We have a voice.
We have a voice.
Unique voices in podcasting.
univazpods.net. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take us off the stream here. And I'm going to end our video.